How do you view the Toronto Maple Leafs?
Well, they got a ton of good talent, that's for sure, with Matthews, Marner, and Nylander up front, and Riley on the back end. Those guys are great players for sure. I think it's just about, like, they got through the first round last year and they ended up getting beat, but they made good strides, and getting past that first round, that's for sure. And like, again, it's hard for me to comment on the Toronto Maple Leafs. I'm not in that locker room. I'm only watching from afar, but a lot of good players there, a lot of good talent. When you get in the playoffs, it's about getting on a good roll, and it's a grind. It's a grind that you gotta move on from losses, and you gotta move on from wins, and you gotta get focused for the next game. And it's a battle. It's a 2-month grind or more, and it's hard.
Of like Samsonov right now is way off where they felt desperation to make this type of move, right?
Yeah, well, I think it like instills across the whole team too. You don't think
Yeah.
when this guy's in net and he's like in Buffalo when he gives up that first one to Greenway, like that stinker, like the bench is just like, oh no, here we go again. Right now, it's hard to play when you're worried about every shot going in on your goalie, right? Like there's you need to be able to play free and play the right way, and the team lacks confidence, right? It's not a good thing. And even the crowd, I think no one was hiding from it. And the thing is, Samsonov is even questioning himself, right?
Mhm.
Like the room for error is so small in the NHL or any position when they're playing like at that level.
Could only wonder in the Calder Cup final this year, it's Jack Campbell and Bakersfield against Ilya Samsonov, the Toronto Marlies. We're at that
Would be
path
awesome.
now.
That would be awesome. That would be way too funny. But yeah, I hope he does well and he gets a chance, right? Because I just hate seeing guys struggle, right? But at the same time, like opportunities come in weird ways. Someone might take the ball and run with it here.
My thing is like I'm always kind of scared about this team in the core four and how much they have tied up and just a couple of similar style of players. There's not enough, meat left on the bone to go around to round out your team. I think they're running into that right now. Goaltending, defense. Is this a well enough rounded team to go deep in the playoffs? Sure, you got some generational talent that you got locked down, but is that going to take you to the promised land? So far, that it's been proven no. So I think we've said on this show, or I have, who I think needs to go in order to facilitate that, and I don't think it's Willie. So
it seems like it's just been that once that ball started rolling down that hill, it just picked up speed and it's gotten worse and worse. And every time he has media availability, he just sounds so weak and so like his confidence is shot. And I don't know how you find that midseason. I've been through it, right? But I feel like when I struggled with it, it was like internalized. I would deal with it myself. It wasn't like public. I wouldn't like go to the mic and be like, oh, I'm shot. I don't know what I'm doing. Maybe I get my eyes checked. Like, what are you doing, man? Especially in that market. It's insane.
They've been exploring the market. They've been trying to figure out what the price tag is for a goaltender, a stopgap guy that can come in until Joe Woll gets back. The price tags just didn't scratch their itch. So what other options do you have? Well, you send a message potentially by sending Ilya Samsonov down, let him play more games, let him build up some confidence potentially, and go from there. Hildeby's likely going to be called up tomorrow on the first, assuming that Samsonov clears and does get sent down. So they'll roll with him and Martin Jones in that West Coast swing.
I'm sure Hildeby's going to go in and play well, but like, what is sustainable? Tell me what's sustainable. Like James Reimer, like that's sustainability. These guys that last like over time, not being amazing, not overly talented, overly skilled, but just have like durability, and it comes between the years.
Yeah, definitely. And again, I'm going to temper expectations right away with Hildeby. And again, they haven't give conclusion one way or another. I would think it's likely, at least my speculation, that Hildeby gets in.
We'd be remiss if we didn't talk about, potential coaching changes made throughout the league and whether you're the front runner on some people's radar. If something came about, would you jump at the opportunity? And specifically, what if have you ever thought about coaching the Toronto Maple Leafs?
Listen,
on the spot there. Eh?
Well, you're always, I want to coach again because I enjoy it, and I want to get back in the game and coach again. And as a coach, it was time to move on in St. Louis, and that's the way it works. You're hired to be fired, they say, but I had a great run in St. Louis, and I'm watching games, and you keep your eye on things and what's going on in the league. A phone call comes, you got to obviously talk about it and see where they're at and what their focus is and the organization and where they're going. For me, I want to work with good people and an organization that is going in the right direction. That's for sure.
Simone Benoit, man, like this guy is evolving and becoming a crazy good story and very under the radar. If you do recall in the offseason, they signed him. We talked about it. We said, it's a depth defenseman with NHL experience, but I just love the bite this guy plays with.
It's a guy that understood the assignment. What does this team
Yep.
need? What are they lacking? What could I give them that would make them keep me around, sign me, like anything that he needs and wants in his career? He's doing just that. He's smart, and it's always bothered me this year in this age of hockey where a team is just dying, desperate for this type of player to step up and do anything.
It's not a year where I think we're going to have real headliners at this trade deadline. I mean, I suppose, Elias Lindholm's a pretty good player, was selected as an all-star last night, and he's likely to be moved. But, there definitely are the kind of pieces I think the Leafs need. There's going to be a number of defensemen moved. And so while Tanev is someone that I think they continue to have interest in, it's not him or bust. I think that there's other options for them depending how the market evolves.
I just am so sick and tired of seeing these young players turn their back and go headfirst into the glass, into the boards. Like, I'm so sick of seeing it. You make the play and you stand up to the guy with your shoulder and take the hit. And if you get sat down, you fall backwards and bump into the glass, fine, or fall onto your back onto the ice. But trying to turn your back last minute and avoid being hit. I don't know why turning your back is avoiding being hit. And then, I'm falling. I'm in the NHL and I'm falling. And let me just lead with my face here and eat the boards. I just never understood it.
Man, 98% of me was like, this is awesome. What an effort. Purposeful. You beat one of the better teams in the league. And 2%'s like, man, I'm annoyed because you know what this team can do. You know what they're capable of. I think everything you just mentioned defensively, the buy-in, I found their sticks were in lanes. Like, LA had nothing offensively, and that's because Toronto thwarted them. Like, the goaltending was solid. It wasn't like they relied on Martin Jones in that game. Like, I know LA ends up out shooting Toronto in that game, but I thought defensively they were airtight, man. Like, yeah, they gave up some chances, but that's as good as a defensive effort I've seen all season long.
Right now, if playoffs started today and they're playing the Florida Panthers in the first round,
buddy.
Can they beat the Florida Panthers? Honestly, can they beat the Florida Panthers in a 7-game series?
I watch Florida play nightly, dude. They're so good. But
I don't think they can.
The truth of the matter here is the Leafs and William Nylander's agent have been talking all season long. I think it's been a sort of a long grind of a negotiation. And, that dialogue will continue. But, they're getting closer and closer to where I think that both sides recognize it'd be nice to get a deal done, get it put to bed and out of the way long before the trade deadline. Perhaps even before the All-Star weekend, comes to Toronto at the start of February.
Did I miss anything here? And maybe it just reinforces the fact that Sheldon Keefe has no pull on this team, that David Kampf is the guy that he's going to use as an example to say, hey, we need to be better after losing to Columbus. And I think the cherry on top to that was that Carolina comes out and scores 2 power play goals with David Kampf, the best penalty killer on this team, in the press box eating popcorn. It's crazy to me.
Yeah, it's not the statement. It's kind of he's a guy that can come in and out of the lineup.
The guys care. Does anybody in the fucking room care that David Kampf was scratched? Please.
Yeah, I mean, you really want to send a message, it's got to be one of the big dogs, right? It's got to be someone that has an impact that's going to be like, holy cow, this is for real. Things are changing. My take is if they get this deal done, does that solidify we're running with this core 4 again here, trying to move forward and just, run it back here with these guys?
I think it would solidify the core 4. I mean, obviously, Mitch Marner's only 1 year out from having the same conversation about him next season. And so, he's going to have a decision to make too. I'm not sure where that will go. But, you would think the Leafs will try to keep him. I'd imagine being a local guy, he's had the success he's had here.